Okay, so when you think about the Philippines for a moment,
Mm.
this archipelago, right? Over 7,000 islands.
It's stunning visually.
It is, but it's more than just that. It's become a genuine hotbed of global ingenuity.
Yeah, across science, tech, arts, culture. It's quite something.
It really is. And it's even more remarkable, I think, when you consider the real hurdles that Filipino talent often faces.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking significant limitations.
Right.
Funding for research, for example.
Scarce resources, often.
Right, and that persistent challenge of brain drain, too.
Exactly. And the numbers, they kind of back this up. UNESCO reported back in 2013, the Philippines invested just, what was it, 0.14% of its GDP in R&D.
Wow, 0.14%.
Yeah.
That's way below the global
It
average.
is. And you can imagine how that might stifle innovation, right?
Definitely puts a drag on things.
Okay, but here's the thing we really want to dig into. Because despite these, very real obstacles, we're seeing Filipino innovators, scientists, artists, not just, getting by, but actually flourishing.
Yeah.
Gaining major international recognition.
Persevering and really making an impact.
Yeah. So this deep dive, we're focusing on exploring some really compelling examples of that resilience, that transformative impact.
So great.
We're going to look at three quite remarkable individuals. We've got Faye Del Mundo, Mark Kennedy Bantugan, and Beatriz Patis Tesoro.
Very different fields, but all showing incredible vision and determination.
Exactly. So let's start with Dr. Faye Del Mundo, born 1911, widely known as the mother of Philippine pediatrics.
A true pioneer.
She studied here first, then went on to Boston University for more medical training, really dedicated her life to children's health.
And a key part of her story, it really unfolds after World War II, doesn't it?
Right. The Philippines, especially rural areas, was devastated. Access to basic medical gear was just severely limited.
And it's in that context, that critical need, that Dr. Del Mundo came up with something amazing. The bamboo incubator.
Ingenious.
Totally ingenious. But it also highlighted, the lack of resources outside the cities. This was a low-cost solution. Crucially, it needed no electricity.
Which was vital in those remote areas.
Absolutely vital for regulating infant temperatures. It saved countless lives in places completely off the grid.
Wow.
And her idea, it became a kind of model for global health in resource-poor settings elsewhere, too. It forced people to rethink things.
It's incredible to think about that impact. And she didn't stop there, did she? This wasn't a one-off invention.
No, not at all. She saw the ongoing need for specialized care for kids.
So she took another huge step.
Yes. In 1957, she founded the very first pediatric hospital in the Philippines.
No, the Fe del Mundo Medical Center.
That's the one. A lasting legacy to her commitment to quality care.
And she practiced medicine for, what, 8 decades?
8 decades. Just phenomenal dedication. And she got international recognition, too, the Ramon Magsaysay Award in 77.
And then, first woman named a national scientist in the Philippines in 1980.
That's right.
So when we look at her whole life, her work, what really jumps out?
I think it's how her very practical ingenuity, born from sheer necessity, didn't just solve a local crisis. It offered a solution with really global implications. Which kind of leads to a bigger question, doesn't it? How much more could visionaries like her achieve if they had solid investment in infrastructure and resources right from the start?
That's a powerful question. Definitely food for thought. Okay, let's shift gears now. Fast forward to today, 2025.
Right.
We're going to talk about Mark Kennedy Bantugan. He's from Batangas, a real rising star in sustainable tech.
Ah, yes. Paley Sealy, that's his invention.
Tell us about that. It's an aircraft sealant and adhesive.
Yes, but here's the kicker. It's made from discarded pili tree resin.
Waste resin from the pili nut tree.
Exactly. Agricultural waste, essentially. He's found a way to turn this byproduct into a really high-performance material for aviation.
Wow, talk about circular economy thinking. That's brilliant. He's an aeronautical engineer, right? With a master's in materials science.
That's his background. And he founded the company Pili Seal with this vision: affordable, eco-friendly sealants and flame retardants.
So it hits two targets at once.
Precisely. Reduces the environmental footprint, using waste,
while still meeting those incredibly strict aviation safety standards.
Exactly. That's the beauty of it. And this kind of innovation, it's getting noticed internationally.
I saw that. He won at that big invention exhibition in Geneva last year.
The 49th International Exhibition of Inventions Geneva, yeah, in 2024. And just this year, 2025, he was among the top young innovators for the European Patent Office's Young Inventors Prize.
That's huge validation. And you have to remember, he grew up in an agricultural community.
Right, so access to, like, advanced research labs wouldn't have been easy.
Not readily available, no.
Which really highlights how crucial targeted support can be. He got help from DOS TAPI, the Department of Science and Technology's Tech Promotion Institute.
Ah, okay. What kind of help?
Technical assistance, financial support, really crucial for bridging that gap towards actually commercializing Peely Seal.
So that support was key. It shows how strategic investment can really spark these breakthroughs.
Absolutely. Peely Seal is just such a fantastic example of Filipino ingenuity tackling global problems, waste, carbon emissions with sustainable tech.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? About the potential we could unlock if we just invested more in nurturing young innovators like him.
It certainly does. Okay, so now let's switch focus again. A completely different world, arts and culture.
Right. Let's talk about the amazing Beatrice Tesoro.
From the 1970s right up until she passed away in 2019, she fundamentally changed how the world saw Filipino culture, mainly through fashion.
A true fashion visionary. She was so passionate about using local indigenous Filipino fabrics, especially piña cloth.
That incredible fabric made from pineapple fibers.
Yes. And her genius was how she blended these really intricate traditional weaving methods with very contemporary designs.
She really elevated traditional Filipino garments, didn't she? Took them onto the high fashion global stage.
She absolutely did. Her designs were on international runway.
And she got huge acclaim for it. She became this sort of global ambassador for Filipino textile traditions. But she didn't just preserve heritage.
No, she modernized it.
Exactly. Made it relevant for a global audience and inspired designers everywhere to look at indigenous materials. And piña itself, making it is incredibly labor-intensive.
Oh, I bet. Extracting the fibers, the weaving, the embroidery.
It's meticulous. Tesoro didn't just master those techniques. She figured out how to adapt them, scale them for modern fashion.
And her dedication was recognized, right?
Yeah.
She received an award in 2019.
Yes, the Gawad Yamang Isip from the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines, a very fitting tribute to her life's work.
What's interesting, too, are the challenges she must have faced.
Oh, for sure. Getting market access for indigenous materials, that's a big hurdle for many artisans even today.
But she persisted.
Through sheer persistence and just incredible creativity, she built this lasting legacy in sustainable fashion, showing that tradition and innovation can absolutely go hand in hand.
It really makes you wonder, though.
What's that?
How can we build better platforms,
Yeah.
to support and promote these local cultural industries, give artisans better market access?
That's a critical question. Her work is that perfect bridge between honoring tradition and pushing forward with innovation.
Definitely. So we've seen Dr. Del Mundo changing healthcare,
Right.
Mark Kennedy Bantugan innovating in sustainable aviation, Cades Tesoro elevating fashion and culture.
And it's striking, as you said earlier, they all face significant systemic barriers: funding, resources, access.
Yet their impact is just undeniable. Del Mundo improving healthcare for kids.
Bantugan advancing sustainability in a major global industry.
And Tesoro preserving and promoting Filipino heritage worldwide.
It really shows the power of individual brilliance overcoming some pretty big odds.
And they aren't alone. There are other amazing stories. Take GOL.ai, for example.
Yes, the tech startup.
Right, developed in the early 2020s. It's an AI and IoT-assisted system for growing plants. Uses crop science, data analysis.
Automated systems to optimize growth. It was showcased by the Advanced Science and Technology Institute, right?
It was.
And what's so important about GWL.ai, I think, is how it shows Filipino ingenuity tackling another huge global issue: food security.
Using advanced tech to do it, positioning the Philippines as potentially a leader in agri-tech.
But again, like with Bantugan, the success of ventures like this, getting them widely adopted, it really depends on having those support systems in place. Solid, consistent support.
Which brings us back to that really critical issue we touched on earlier, brain drain.
The loss of talent.
Yeah. That statistic, 70% of Filipino researchers collaborating internationally between 2008 and 2014.
And the concern is that collaboration often leads to permanent migration because the opportunities seem better elsewhere.
It's a huge loss for the country.
Yeah.
So what's the answer? And do you tackle that?
Well, it's not simple. It has to be a multi-pronged approach, really. First, significantly boosting investment in R&D is key. Maybe getting back towards levels seen in what some call the golden age of S&T here.
Modernizing education too, presumably.
Absolutely. Fostering critical thinking, innovation, right from a young age. Plus, making funding more accessible for everyone, researchers, artists, entrepreneurs.
And helping them connect to global markets.
Yes, enabling that access is crucial. We need to address the reasons people feel they have to leave.
We are seeing some positive signs, though, aren't we? Things like the Philippine Science High School system.
Definitely a strong foundation. And those Dos Tapiai grants we mentioned, helping Bantugan, those are steps in the right direction.
Yeah.
But beyond specific programs, it's also about fostering a whole culture, a society that genuinely values and supports innovation in all its forms.
Celebrating these brilliant minds, championing their work.
Exactly. You know, the Philippines ranked 56 on the Global Innovation Index in 2023. That's respectable, it shows potential, but there's room to climb.
And look at the Philippine Science High School. They registered 9 patents in 2023 alone.
Wow, 9 patents. See, that shows what happens when you provide the resources, the mentorship, the IP protection. It makes a difference.
It really poses a fascinating question, doesn't it?
Mm.
Just imagine, what if every Filipino scientist or artist or entrepreneur, what if they all had consistent access to the tools, the funding, the support they need to really thrive right here at home?
What could be achieved then?
Yeah. What kind of transformation could that unleash for the Philippines and, well, for the world?
It's a really powerful thought to consider.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, it's just crystal clear, isn't it? The Philippines is this incredible reservoir of talent. People doing amazing things, often against the odds.
Absolutely. Fidel Mundo's bamboo incubator saving lives. Mark Kennedy Bentigan's Pili Seal changing aviation. Patis Tesoro putting piña cloth on the map.
They're just 3 powerful examples of that Filipino talent, that resilience, that sheer determination.
And their stories really highlight this immense potential, often still untapped, within the country.
Imagine unleashing that potential more consistently, more effectively, with better support systems.
Indeed. And actually, we'd love to hear from you listening in. Are there other Filipino innovators or artists whose stories really stand out to you?
Yeah. Please share your thoughts. We definitely want to keep this conversation going.
We'll be exploring more stories like these in future deep dives.
For sure. Because ultimately, creating that environment where Filipino talent can truly flourish, both here and globally.
It needs a collective effort. Advocating for support, celebrating these minds, it helps build a future where they can transform lives and industries for generations to come.